Let's give them their state and they will decide who will represent them.
We tried to give them a state and they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1937, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1948, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1967, they said no. We tried to give them a state in the year 2000, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 2005, look what happened October 7th. We tried to give them a state in 2008, look what happened, they said no. They don't want a state. They want to destroy Israel to the ground. They want to create an Islamic caliphate. They want this place to be fully Arab, no Jews. What are you talking about? The kafia scarf is choking your, the bloodstream to the brain. How you guys doing? This is Official Sahar TV, and today we're going to be watching another protest video. It's not going to be only Palestinians getting asked questions this time. It's also going to be Israelis. Before we get to the video, please don't forget to subscribe. We're almost at 80,000 subscribers. And if you want to support me financially, you can do so through the links below, through Patreon and Buy Me Coffee. Without further delay, let's watch the video.
The occupation of Palestine is the cause of all evil.
The only way to stop violent men is with other violent men.
Rockets, murdering, ripping.
Babies, elderly, they cold-bloodedly murder them.
These babies that were splattered. Where are they? We have 800 just died.
I can interview whoever I'd like.
You can continue somewhere else.
Can you summarize what you're protesting about?
We received surprise attacks by Hamas from Gaza, rockets, murdering, ripping for Israeli citizens. And so we are protesting the support of Israel to defend itself, and determination of Hamas.
We are trying to support the elimination of Hamas as a terrorist organization that has been democratically elected to lead the Gazans.
We're protesting the occupation of Palestinian land. For 75 years, they've been occupying a Palestinian land. They've been preventing them from food.
The fact that Israel provides electricity and water out of humanitarian aid does not mean that we have to. Just like America is not expected to provide electricity and water to Mexico.
These people control your electricity, your food, your medicine. You can't leave the city that you were born in.
There is no single...
That is complete BS. What do you mean you can't leave the city you were born in? What area are you talking about? Because if you're talking about Gaza specifically, it's not a city, first of all. Second of all, they can leave to Egypt as well, but I don't see you protesting against Egypt. Why don't you care that Egypt doesn't let them in? You don't care. Why? Because they're Muslim?
One place in Gaza that is free for people to run.
1,300 people been slaughtered, innocent, young children by the Palestinians and Hamas. Those kind of things happen only in the Holocaust.
They say we slaughtered the babies. Where are they? Where are they?
I can show you so many photos on my Telegram. I can show you so many. That will shut you up.
We have 800 that just died.
We're protesting the worst.
That is exactly what Hamas is trying to cause. It's trying to cause an emotional distress. That's how they're winning the propaganda war.
Massacre that our people have suffered in a couple generations, and we're also calling for the immediate release of all civilians that were taken prisoner, women, children, whole families.
The occupation of Palestine is the cause of all evil. The occupation of Palestine is what started this whole mess. We shouldn't but just take a look at the last event and then judge the whole Palestinian with it. These people have been under occupation for over 13 years in that little strip.
This is not...
First of all, she's 100% wrong. It has nothing to do with the occupation. First of all, Israel can't occupy what's not a sovereign country. Second of all, Israel is not occupying Gaza. It's sharing a border with Egypt. Now, let's talk about before 1948, before Israel was a state for the third time. What happened? We had the 1929 Hebron massacre where Jews were killed by Muslims. We had the riots and pogroms in the 1920s in Jaffa and in other parts of Israel. We had the Safed looting in 1834 before the Zionist movement, the political one, came to be, the nationalist one. Why? Because of religion. It has nothing to do with the occupation. It's just an excuse that they tell to the world. But it's actually a religion versus the free world. Islam versus the free world. Israel is the first target. Once they're done with Israel, then they'll go to the Sunday people.
Fighting for freedom. This is not fighting for human rights. This is not fighting for anything except for the pure evil cause of the elimination of the Jewish and Israeli people.
People have a misunderstanding that this is a religious conflict. This is not Muslims against Jews. This is against occupation.
Yeah. For sure. This is 100% a religious conflict. Muslims versus Jews, Islam versus Judaism, and then versus Christians.
Have been instructed to prevent other interviews from happening.
So if both sides are seen as the good guys, can peaceful compromise ever be achieved? Or have we reached a point where one side wins and everyone loses? I guess we gonna see.
Should Israel have responded with an all-out war?
Yes, Israel should defend itself, its right to this land, to the State of Israel land. This is the only country in the world that is reserved for the Jewish people.
This has been going on for eternity, and the only way that we have been successful with snuffing out anti-Semitism and hate is on the one hand fighting the psycho-spiritual battle with love, life, and light, and then on the physical front with strength. The problem needs to be handled. Anti-Semitism tolerated is anti-Semitism that leads to genocide every time.
This is our survival. This is not a war for political agenda or anything else. This is for our survival.
The Israeli Defense Force, quite literally called Defense Force, is to defend itself first and foremost. So do whatever necessary to defend, and then from then on, I don't know if I'll speak on what else should be done.
Do you think what Hamas did was justified?
It's very justified because it's self-defense. There's no army, there's no nothing, and these people are just being killed,
Totally, it's self-defense against the women that they raped and against the babies that they unalived and against the innocent civilians that you just killed out of the blue. Totally self-defense, resistance 100%. They burned people in their homes, in their shelters. They shot RPGs at people's homes. Just people that woke up for, to a holiday, Simchat Torah. Totally justified, totally resistance. What a bleep.
Attacked all the time, but there has to be a way to fight back.
I don't think killing any civilians is justified at all. But right now, we have several thousand Palestinians being killed. Anybody's talking about it? They've been occupying us for 75 years. Year to date, over 250 Palestinians before this were killed. Nobody talked about it.
It's not justified to kill innocent people. If they want to fight against the IDF and the oppressor, not against the people who are innocent.
Do you think Hamas...
He's right. When you invade a country, such as Israel, you don't fight with the civilians, which was the majority of the casualties. You fight with the IDF. But they chose, the Palestinians, to fight specifically against the civilians, and in addition, some soldiers. Oh yeah.
Represents Palestinians as a whole?
Hamas does not represent Palestinians as a whole. It does represent the situation, the oppression that's happening there.
It represents the ones that are completely out of options.
We're all against...
Wow, she's emotional. Wow. If this was an ad for the targeting for Hamas's campaign, she would have been the top priority. Crying, emotional about all the children and the civilians. It is sad, but that's the reaction they're trying to get out of people, to get people to go out to the street.
Killing innocent people. But the same thing has been happening to the Palestinian people for 75 years. I didn't hear anyone say anything.
I really don't know who represent, and it's not really my business. Let's give them their state and they will decide who will represent them.
We tried to give them a state and they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1937, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1948, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 1967, they said no. We tried to give them a state in the year 2000, they said no. We tried to give them a state in 2005, look what happened October 7th. We tried to give them a state in 2008, look what happened, they said no. They don't want a state, they want to destroy Israel to the ground. They want to create an Islamic caliphate. They want this place to be fully Arab, no Jews. What are you talking about? The kafia scarf is choking your, the bloodstream to the brain.
Violent solutions ever justified to achieve certain goals?
There are times where violence is what you have to do to defend yourself. In a case like this, where you've got Hamas coming across your border, stealing women and kids and murdering whole families, I don't know how you meet that with anything but violence.
We have a right to defend ourselves, but to do it as resistance, as the Palestinian side claims, is never okay.
People have to understand, desperate people do desperate measures. So if you feel like there is no any other solution for you other than to, commit something violent, unfortunately, you're going to resort to that. It's not justified, but you force people to do that when you don't give them any other way.
So in 2005, when Israel completely disengaged from Gaza, took all the civilians away, why did they fire rockets in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009? Why did they fire hundreds of rockets? Why? We left. Why did you fire rockets if you're so oppressed? If it's an open-air prison? Why? Because it has nothing to do with occupation. Nothing.
You can make peace with countries, you can make peace with people, but when you're dealing with terrorists, when you're dealing with an organization that all he wants to do is slaughter Jews, unfortunately, the only solution is to eliminate them.
Do you believe that
I
your
agree.
side is objectively the good guys?
100%, and I will scream it at the top of my lungs.
There are extremists on both sides. You have Hamas, who's an extremist group, and then you have the IDF, who hasn't been using international law. They haven't been fighting against the Palestinians in a manner that is humanitarian.
Name one war where international law was not broken to the slightest. Israel is trying to do whatever they can to minimize civilian casualties. They do. In what scenario does the country being attacked have to provide them with food and humanitarian aid? In what situation? It doesn't happen. There's not bad people on each side. The IDF and Hamas. There's Hamas and Jihad and Hezbollah and ISIS. And IDF is just an army protecting the country. My God.
Palestinian myself, I think we are the good guy in this situation because at the end of the day, we are fighting against oppressiveness.
Well, I do support my people, my friends, and family that live in Israel. In addition to, I believe this is just the humane side of history, and I always strive to be on the right side of history.
And so if both sides see themselves as on the right side of history, it raises the question, are they exposed to the same or conflicting information? Because as of October 17th, 2023, 16 journalists have already lost their lives, with 13 being Palestinian and 3 being Israeli. And
this is a misleading report, because what they're forgetting to tell you is that a lot of these journalists are Hamas. In the morning, they have weapons. In the evening, they have cameras, Instagram accounts to spread the propaganda. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. They're not journalists. They're Hamas terrorists.
even though international law protects journalists from being targeted during war, reports suggest that rules have gone out the window. Abu Akleh, a Palestinian journalist, was shot dead while she was with fellow journalists, despite survivors' claims that no Palestinian fighters were in sight. And
they were Palestinian terrorists according to reports. So what are you talking about? They refused to hand their guns to do the ballistic examination. Only the IDF agreed to do it. Why did they refuse, the Palestinians? If they would have realized that their weapons were the ones in charge of the killing of Shireen Abu Akleh, they would have been screwed.
There's also reports of censorship. Instagram users worldwide have reported limitations on their Instagram accounts after posting about Palestine, including issues as being unable to live stream as well as comment on others' posts. And despite a Meta spokesperson denying these reports, some are still not convinced. Because when we look at the other side, Israel have also expressed concerns about censorship. The UN initially reported that a group of people stole fuel and medical equipment from the UN agency, which prompted a strong response from the IDF spokesperson.
The amount of fuel stolen is enough to power Gaza's water desalination for 6 days. The Israel Defense Forces will destroy Hamas.
But hours later, the tweet was deleted, with the UN explaining that in fact, there actually was no looting that had taken place. And just hours before filming this, a hospital in Gaza was bombed. And immediately one side has blamed it on Israeli airstrikes, while the other was doing the exact same but claiming that it was the result of a failed jihad rocket. And so with the shadow banning, censorship, and propaganda from both sides, it's clear why conflicting reports emerge. And so I was deeply curious on how the people here were ensuring that they were getting the most accurate information.
It's interesting that you guys brought up that you guys are, both Israeli citizens and obviously stand with Israel. But I'm curious, where are you guys getting your information from?
I have friends, close friends, that were writing, texting from the bomb shelter in their house. There's people in my house, burning down my house. I need someone to come and save me.
Most of the information I have is from witnesses that live there.
I don't trust media at all. I do, though, see pictures of Palestinian kids pulled from under the rubble all day long.
There's a lot of books that are not just written by Palestinians, even by Americans, US Americans that would go there. It's just the historical events. If you put them all together, it's just kind of easy to tell what's right and what's wrong.
I do try to fact check as much as possible, but unfortunately, I'm sure I fall victim as well.
What do you think the side that you support is not honest about?
One thing that I will say is growing up, I learned about how Israel constantly gives peace treaties to the Palestinian people and it's constantly rejected, which is true. However, only as I got older did I learn that peace treaties were also also given to Israel. It was rejected because the only land we were given in these peace treaties was a sliver of Jerusalem or the desert. I think it's a little justified to reject those, but they were rejected in the end that I didn't learn about.
What do you think you're...
Do you even know the peace offers that the Jews gave to the Palestinians? In the year 2000, they offered to give 96% of what is today the West Bank and Gaza, yet they refused. And we even offered to give compensation packages of a lot of money, and they said no. Same thing, 2008. They said no. I don't know about what she's talking about. I need to read more about this, but we gave incredibly generous offers that were rejected because they have no desire in building a Palestinian state.
has not been honest about?
What are you trying to get to? Because
Nothing.
I'm not sure what we're not honest about. I think our side needs more people to speak out the truth. Why is Israel allowed to get away with that?
Do you think the U.S. should get involved?
I think the U.S. involvement has been destructive. They don't support like Palestinians having their rights. So I have a negative view of how the U.S. is involved.
100% the whole world should get involved.
United States of America is our closest ally, our best friends. If Hezbollah will start something from the north and there's going to be multiple attacks on Israel, I believe United States should interfere and stop this.
I'm ashamed to be American. I'm embarrassed to be American.
Leave.
Do you think that
Just do
she took his mic. She's nuts.
better. Do better.
Just by her grabbing the mic, you could tell she's psycho.
After all these conversations, I had a realization in that I was learning way more talking to these people than researching it through the internet. And so to get to the heart of this issue, I wanted to ask the most important question that I had in mind going into this protest.
How would you like this conflict to end?
I don't think I have the answer for that. Because on one side, you have the Israelis who say, well, we want to kick all Palestinians out. But then you have Palestinians who say, well, we want to kick all Jewish people out. The answer to that...
The majority of Jews and Israelis don't say that. They just want the hostages back. They want to live in peace. They want Hamas to be destroyed. And that's it. If you can promise that, yalla bye. That's it. No more conflict. But you can't promise that because of the second thing he said. His side wants all of the Jews to be driven to the sea. Yeah.
Question is always going to be war.
We need to eliminate Hamas, just like the world eliminated ISIS at the time.
Two-state solution, definitely.
Is that possible?
I am not sure, honestly, but I know Israel doesn't want it to happen. They say they do. They don't want it to happen.
Do you think a two-state solution is even possible?
No. I don't even want to explain. It's not possible. Unfortunately, there's too much history, too much hatred on both sides. Coexistence does not exist in that land, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. Unfortunately not. It's either going to be...
Hey, let him talk. Please let him talk.
I respect your opinion, but I'll elaborate you further. A two-state solution is impossible now. Because if Israel stays in the Middle East, there's always going to be war and conflict.
I think it is possible if...
See? So he doesn't believe in the existence of Israel. That's the problem.
Do you have any one or two things that you do respect about the pro-Israeli side?
The only thing that I feel their pain. I do. I feel their pain because we lived that pain for years. No one likes to see innocent people die. No one.
I do feel for that.
Except the people who call it resistance.
One thing I do respect is their dedication to their religion and the dedication to their own cause. At the end of the day, they believe what they're right, and I can respect them fighting for it, even if I believe it is not.
No, I can't respect it. I think they're acting like victims. They have been acting like victims. They're not being settled by the international community, which is fueling that conflict even more. I don't respect it about them.
The right side of history.
And call me idealistic, but perhaps the only way to find truth in a polarized world is through open, respectful dialogue free from hatred and censorship. And so I guess it's up to you and I to lead the way. And it all starts by exploring the unfamiliar. Thanks for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more.
Wow. This is not the usual protest video that we're used to seeing. I felt like there was a very specific agenda to the video, but it's another protest video. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Exactly what he said to his channel, do to my channel. We're almost at 80,000 subscribers, and if you want to support this channel financially, you can do so through the two links below of Patreon and Buy Me Coffee. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.